I am actually a science graduate from University of Kashmir who accidentally landed a bank after qualifying an banking exam. Worked in different banks for around 11 years, 11 long years, and then decided to treat the path of entrepreneurship. Uh, since I had acquired the skills in banking and finance, my entrepreneurship journey started with investment in finance only. So that is how it began. Then diversified into tourism and hospitality and telecom sector as well. We're doing the resource optimization as well as of now. So this is how it kind of began. It was short kind of introduction of mine from graduating in science and then turning out to be an entrepreneurship in different sectors. So that's all about me. Luckily, I'll tell you, luckily what happened the moment I worked for banks. So I worked with J&K Bank for around 5 long years, more than 5 years. I worked with Axis Bank, that was erstwhile UTI Bank the moment I worked out there. So during those times, the moment UTI Bank came into J&K, probably that was the first branch I was working with. It was the first branch of UTI Bank in J&K. It was in Jammu, around 300 odd kilometers from Srinagar. So I started working there. It was a startup, basically a startup, setting up new paths in J&K. Till then, there was no private sector bank in J&K. So I got an opportunity to work out there. So I worked there for around a couple of years. Then HDFC Bank came to Srinagar. That was once again the first bank in Srinagar, first private sector bank in Srinagar. So I qualified the exams and interviews for HDFC Bank and joined HDFC Bank in Srinagar as well. Once again, a startup journey for HDFC Bank, so I was a part of it. Then the moment Yes Bank started its branch in Srinagar, I qualified once again. I decided to move on and joined this Yes Bank as a assistant vice president, the first branch head, and incidentally, once again, it was the first branch. It was once again an entrepreneurial journey, and those seeds of entrepreneurship were already sown the moment I moved from kind of UTI Bank to HDFC to Yes Bank. So that seed was already there. So then I decided to move on and start something of my own. So that is how it began. And what you call the moment I called it quits, that was way back in 2008. And 2008 was a time when there was a global recession that was happening. And incidentally, since I was kind of now trained in investment and finance, I started my entrepreneurship journey in finance and investments only. But it was a bad year given the investments and finance, because it was the time of global recession. So somehow to kind of sustain and keep myself afloat, we diversified into telecom sector. We diversified into hospitality and tourism. There were some turmoils also that we faced. 2008 was a very, very huge uprising in Srinagar, rather whole of Kashmir. For around 4 months, business didn't work. And you can understand the moment, say, for instance, it's a startup. These are first months, first baby steps. And there's something like this that happens out in any startup, that it has to, just before beginning, it has to shut up for around 4 odd months or 5 odd months, then restarting, getting our act together and restarting again. And then once again, some kind of a turmoil hit in 2010. There was a time when we had grown literally a little bigger. We had around 400 odd people working with us. We had kind of taken that leap towards the next step in our entrepreneurial journey. But unfortunately, once again, 2010, another turmoil happened in Kashmir. For around 6 months, the business were closed. So ending up paying 400 people without doing anything for 4 or 5 months was quite a blow for the business. But somehow we sustained those periods of turmoil. But unfortunately, in 2014, once again, there was a devastating, out of blue, a devastating floods came into Srinagar, and our office happened to be in a place where it was that was the worst hit place, and the whole building that we were operating from collapsed. We were left with nothing almost. So that was the time when really kind of, unless you have perseverance, you have passion, this is a time when you thought, should I continue with this journey, or should I move on back to the corporate? But somehow a little kind of support from my friends, from family, from encouragement from different fields, different quarters, they came up saying, maybe you try once again. So I started once again. I set up a small one-room office in Srinagar only, and started up again. So thinking that yes, things will get better, but it once again happened in 2016. 2014 was the period. 2014 third quarter, I think September, the floods came. October, November, we were not doing anything. Now, but December, I started again. So 2015 was somehow kind of stabilizing year. 2016, once again, a turmoil hit Kashmir. So now I was kind of at a place where looking back was not an option. Looking back at what I treated, there's no looking back. I said, okay, whatever is happening, my concise plan was to kind of sustain. So, and wait for the period when it really blossoms up. So that was a period that was kind of really daunting. But 2016 passed, we sustained. 2017 passed, we stabilized. 2018, yes, we were kind of very positive, things are moving on. Then 2019, that year when Article 370 was abrogated, and we were once again under a strict lockdown for around 3 months. Internet shut down, nothing working. So again, it was kind of a blow for our businesses. Anyways, now that it was kind of what you call, not a right kind of, I don't have a right word to, or a right sentence to use for it. So we had we were kind of hardened because of these turmoils after turmoils, and there was no option also to go back to corporate and work. So we kept on going. So that is how entrepreneurial journey has been till now. 2019 happened, then 2020 this COVID happened. Once again lockdown, everything closed. But somehow the what you call traits of that resilience were already kind of, they had grown stronger, and that resilience kind of pulled. And there's a lot of support from family, friends, my mentors, who consistently supported, who consistently came to kind of pat me, push me, and I kept on going. So that is how entrepreneurial journey has happened till now. If you ask me, per se, for the last 3 years, there's no government in existence. There is bureaucracy that is running the show as of now. So we are under this governor's rule. So there's no government per se. So prior to that, I remember 2016 when there was a government, or 2015 when there was a government. There was 100 crore fund that was kind of kept for entrepreneurship development. 100 crore fund that then finance minister created for entrepreneurship development. So that time I realized that, do we really require funds for entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship development? Yes, we do, but more for an entrepreneur in terms of kind of, generally entrepreneurs, particularly the people who really are passionate about their ideas to work on, they don't look for SOPs from the government. They're not looking for subsidies and SOPs. entrepreneur metal is something different. The moment it is passion, that passion works. They are not looking for what government is kind of, these are subsidized things, then I'll get something out of it. Better for governments is to ease the business up. In terms of infrastructure, in terms of logistics, that an entrepreneur cannot himself take up. If in the morning I take 3 hours to come to my office, it's a loss as an entrepreneur. Government will take it up. If I'm stuck in a traffic jam somewhere, because of inefficiency of governments, it's a loss to the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur cannot do something about that. If my electricity is not consistent with good voltage, it is government's role to play. It is not entrepreneur's role to play. My costs have to come down because logistics infrastructure should be ideal for the entrepreneur to grow. If I am not getting that environment, if I am not getting that particular space, niche, it's very difficult for the entrepreneur to grow. That is where government has to come into play, instead of kind of announcing shops for the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur passion doesn't require any shops. Passion is beyond shops, beyond subsidies. Passion is something different. So for an entrepreneur, it is a business. If I'm for a particular no objection certificate, for a particular registration, it takes me months together. It is time lost for an entrepreneur, and it is money lost for the entrepreneur. So that is where government has to kind of, some time back I was kind of thinking, just a kind of romanticizing a thought, how do we kind of build entrepreneurship? So if somebody qualifies IAS, somebody qualifies the administrative service of a particular state, he's much talked about that. This is a gentleman who's talked about, he's a VVIP. So youth start idolizing him, because now he gets a car, he has a driver, he has a lal batti on the top of his car, he gets kind of all VVIP treatments. So that idolization in terms of entrepreneurship, entrepreneur should also happen. An entrepreneur is something who is a very important part of economy. It's a very important part. He generates jobs. He kind of builds, in terms of his ideas. He tries to kind of ease up somebody's job. So those things have to be kind of applied for entrepreneur as well. He should be also treated with respect. If he visits a government office, he should be a VVIP at the government office, because he is somebody who is not waiting for the government to give him shops. He is out to contribute something to the economy with his own efforts, with his own skill, with his own ideas. So that kind of a treatment, if an entrepreneur gets, yes, youth will idolize him, youth will kind of, but obvious, more and more youth will come and treat the path of entrepreneurship. Women in Kashmir kind of who were not very keen to treat their own paths have now started coming on this path of entrepreneurship with their own ideas, with their own skill set. And the good part to see is now, earlier, that I think from an educational perspective is a considerable change. There's a dynamic shift in education. Now, we don't call education, we call skill. What is the skill that you have? So in spite of kind of people being educated in different fields, but they use their skill set to come in the field of entrepreneurship. We have quite considerable number of women who have come forward. Recently, kind of, we have seen some engineers who are kind of BTechs, BEs, mechanical engineers, women, who have set up their, used their skill set, use their working hobbies to set up their what you call businesses in place like Kashmir. So right from their homes, that is something amazing. Right from their homes, from the one-room offices somewhere, they are scaling it up like anything, and they are becoming role models for younger generations. Yes, quite considerable number of women we have. Precisely, one important thing that kind of has been in my genes from right from the beginning, right from the days, probably um, the moment we started kind of understanding things. That was I have a good appetite of reading. I read a lot of books. If not completely, so sometimes I miss, let us say I've reached 50% of a book and I missed rest part of it. But reading has been a kind of consistent. I read newspapers, I read articles, I read stories from people, how they mitigate challenges if they come. So that has been quite consistently. That is what quite consistently I've been doing since my childhood, right from early years. So till this time it continues. There has been as such there was no tipping point, but yes, that turning point of a career was the moment. It was a kind of quite a big decision. The moment I called it from a good career, calling it quits from that particular point and facing the first struggle, kind of understanding every month you are getting a certain considerable amount of money in your account and suddenly it stops. You are on an entrepreneurial path and suddenly for 4 months you are not doing anything. The whole Kashmir is closed, everything is closed. So then seeing around the struggles of other people, kind of I had at least this we have a home to stay, we have food to eat, everything. The moment we saw struggles from others, that kept on kind of inspiring me. No, if they can survive, so we too can. We have to kind of just be resilient and show perseverance, wait, have patience, and eventually till the time we'll overcome these difficult hurdles. So per se, there is nothing kind of moving point you'll say that this changed the whole course of journey. There was nothing as such. But yes, every day, the moment we see the lives of people, every day, the moment we see the struggles, that gives you some hope. Yes, if this gentleman can survive, yes, we too can kind of move on and see how best we can. So we are this world we have seen kind of right from the time that we have grown. I am quite ancient. From the time we have grown, we have kind of seen a complete frame shift of world happening. From no mobiles to mobiles, connected. So it is possible now we are talking to each other. You are sitting somewhere in I don't know, Delhi, Gurgaon, somewhere. I am sitting in Srinagar and we are interacting on a Zoom call. This was never thought of way back the moment we started our careers. We never thought of this happening. Mobiles was a distant dream. Our time started the moment SMS was kind of or paging services where I don't know how many people have heard of paging services was in vogue. So then mobiles came, then internet, use of internet. Now from 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, we are moving on. What comes next, we are not clear of now. Now today's time we are into AI. Chat GPT is kind of considerably now you can say in modern day terms we call it viral. It's viral now. Chat GPT, artificial intelligence, they are changing the discourse completely. Google is kind of shaking the moment we see the AI and Chat GPT. So for people, for general youth, skilling up every day. Education is not the only solution. Education, I won't kind of say no, education is not necessary. Education is mandatory. But skilling yourself up on a particular field. I generally, during our times, we used to call jack of all trades and master of none. But these days, you have to be jack of all trades and at least master of one. That is how I've tried to reframe it. You have to be master, you have to be kind of excellent, but you have to have a know of the rest of the things. If I'm a good, let us say, researcher, I have done PhD and I don't know how to use my mobile, it's not working. I don't know how to use a laptop, it will not work. Technology is kind of giving a new flip to day-to-day work. Every day there's a new thing that is happening, every day. So for corporate leaders or whosoever is corporate, skilling up should not stop. Uh, Generally, in the from the religion that I come from, Islam, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said 1400 years back, we call it. So he said it that learning from cradle to grave. To learn from cradle to grave. When you were born, from there you start learning, and till the time you are in the grave, you have to keep learning. So it has come true to this time now, that from starting your kind of from the cradle, from the kind of what you call lap of your mother to the grave, you have to keep on learning, and every day you have to kind of make up a point to skill yourself up in new things. Something new has to kind of, you have to learn something new. So that is what I will kind of suggest for corporate, not only for themselves. For leaders, it is imperative to train and develop leaders. That is what leaders are. Leaders should be. They should not be just kind of running a show, but they should be kind of getting leaders on board, hand holding people, mentoring people to take the next leap, making leaders, not followers, just making leaders. So that is the kind of thing that I will kind of hope leaders will do. And for youth, yes, there is no kind of substitute to hard work. There is no substitute to skilling up. World is fast changing. One has to kind of every day take a new day and ensure that the moment he goes back to the bed, he has learned a new skill.